I'm Monica Vink, Marketing Director with Ontivity. I'm here with Eric Chase, our Executive Chairman, and Joe Cecin, CEO of Ontivity. And today we're going to talk a little bit about of the history of our company and the future. So Eric, we saw earlier this year a lot of activity around the name and the rebrand of the name. Tell us a little bit about the history behind that and the story of Ontivity.
It kind of goes back to our original thesis, which is to build the nation's best and leading infrastructure services company. We started with Intertech Resources, which is the company that I founded in 2001. We were confusing ourselves and our customers in the market with Intertech Holdings, which was the holding company that operated the 5 separate entities. So we wanted to I guess, minimize the confusion in the market and have one global brand that stood apart and above all of the operating entities. But one of our acquisitions back in, I think, 2016 was a company called Ontivity out of Dallas. And I loved the brand since day one. And as a matter of fact, there was a little bit of an argument back in that day to keep that name instead. But we had it on the shelf, and we had a great team of people working on the rebrand. And we decided, you know what? Why do we need to recreate this when we have something so good on the shelf? So we pulled the Ontivity name off the shelf, changed the logo up a little bit, and launched it. So the concept is to be a very recognizable national brand, but one that's certainly not confused with each of the operating companies that we operate underneath.
So that local connections, national solutions feel, right? So we've got that as our tagline. Tell me a little bit about the strategy behind maintaining our 5 entity brands at a regional level, and then the Ontivity name at a national level.
People have different strategies, and I'm not going to say that other strategies don't work too. But for us, it kind of goes back to our underwriting thesis on when we do an acquisition, which is we only buy the absolute best companies in the market. Conceptually, if you buy a great business with great relationships, great people in the marketplace, why would you want to immediately lose that branding? So it's kind of a small ball, big ball concept, you might say, which is that we want to have these local relationships, these local connections that are very vested with their customers in the market, and we want to keep that, But at the same time, we are a national services company. We offer a national solution, but it's through the local connections that are with each of the operating entities in their specific regions.
Another thing we hear often is our better together, right? So we've formulated that as a hashtag and a tagline that we see often on social media. What does better together mean to you?
So for me, better together is the opportunity really to share best practices across the enterprise. There are really great pockets of excellence throughout the company, and by getting together and learning from each other, I think we can be better together. And it also applies a great benefit to our customers too, because we have great reach from Florida to the Pacific Northwest, and as a group of companies, we hear about opportunities where a single entity may not be able to pursue it on its own, but by combining forces, we can do a great job for our customers and be better together.
And I think also the 5 brands for us creates a strong internal culture as well, right? Surrounded and kind of focused on our employees. We've got our core values, and our biggest core value is safety. Tell us a little bit about what the 5 brands mean to our employees and how that translates.
Well, for me, I think that one of the fallacies in business is to think that the best way to take care of your customer is to always focus on your customer, right? We feel like the best way to focus on our customer is to internally focus on the well-being of our staff and our employees. So an example is we had an employee in one of our offices, and through a military transfer, they needed to move. And so for us, they could just move from one state to the next, keep working. So, I think that by focusing on the well-being of our staff and our employees and providing a better work environment for them, better opportunity, if we focus on that, we naturally take better care of the customer.
So we've not only been active with the rebrand, right? So we've had some expansion to our executive leadership, right? So Eric, you've taken on a new role as executive chairman, and Joe, you've joined the team as our new CEO. Tell us a little bit about that expansion on our leadership role and what advantage that brings to our customers.
Yeah, I'm glad you used the word expansion, because I don't feel like I took on a new role. I feel like Joe came on board and took a bunch of what I had to do and has left me to do more of the strategic focus of the business, concentrating on BD. Clearly, I still like to have a very active role in the vision of the business, but I mean, we're a big company now, and we employ 800 and something people. It's a big job, and it's too much for one person. And so I wish I'd have had Joe working with me for the last 5 years, because we make a heck of a team, frankly. And so Joe likes to tell people that he does the things that I don't want to do anymore, which there's some truth to that. But the reality is that it's a divide and conquer concept, and letting us each focus where we have, I would say, more interest and focus on our strengths.
Oh, that's awesome. Absolutely. So you've jumped right into the fire, right? You've been incredibly engaged with, visiting all of our entities and really been hands-on on that. What's some of the highlights in your first few months that you see at each of the entities and about our team?
Yeah, I mean, for me, really, it's about the people, just going out and meeting the team, going to each of the entities and visiting them on their turf, going and doing site visits and watching our guys do what they do every day, which is always amazing to me. And also talking to customers. I was with one of our larger customers earlier today, and being able to tell them the Ontivity story. They were familiar with the individual entities, but they seem to really appreciate that sort of national presence that we're now bringing by bringing the companies together. So, for me, number one is the people, two is the culture, and it's been really great to get out there and meet the folks where they're working.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So you talked a little bit about our customers. I'm curious, just as you've gained this perspective into kind of the diversity of our customer base, can you kind of share with us your perspective on that diversity and kind of what markets do we hit and maybe what might be in the future for us?
Yeah, so I see our opportunity really as to expand in two ways. Number one, geographically. We have a great geographic footprint now, but there's still parts of the country that I would like us to be able to reach, because our current customers are doing a lot of great work there. The second area is by working with our existing customers, doing more for them. We do lots of scopes of work for our existing customers, but there's still some things we could be doing for them in geographies we serve currently and in some new geographies. So we've brought new companies into the fold, into the family, but we still have a lot of growth ahead of us. And I'm very excited about those opportunities to lead the company into expanding into new geographies and new scopes. As most folks know, we've been pretty active on the mergers and acquisitions front as well. So we've done several acquisitions. We're very active in the marketplace looking at new opportunities for good teams to join the Ontivity team. And we think we're an acquirer of choice because of our culture, because of our focus on safety as our core value. And I think over the next 2 or 3 years, you'll see us be active, not just growing organically, but by doing additional acquisitions and bringing additional teams into the Ontivity fold.
I mean, our strategy is quite different than I think a lot of our competitors. When you look at the operators of the operating entities that we've acquired, the original operators are still there operating those entities. So, people that build good businesses, they're entrepreneurs. They like autonomy. They like to run their business. And we don't change that. We offer support. I think we bring extra solutions. We give them access to tools and resources that they didn't have before. But ultimately, a good operator will continue to operate his or her business just like they did before when they merged with us or we combined some forces. I think that we're the best place to work in the industry. And so for me, if there's people that are even slightly unhappy where they're working, come here, because it's a great place to work, and I think we can prove that,
I wholeheartedly agree. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending a little time and chatting about the history of Ontivity, the future of Ontivity, and our industry.
Thanks.
Thank you. Glad to do it.
Appreciate it.